When I was your age, we had business schools, but we didn't have entrepreneurship programs within them, entrepreneurship colleges. Glad to hear that exists. And I'm glad your professor wants you to hear some real good words of advice. So I'll give the best I have. I mean, I have a little experience as an entrepreneur. And you know what? For me, it was a very small thing. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur basically my whole life, just building little projects for fun that weren't worth money or a company, but they were neat to show off to people. And every time I did, more and more of those tens of thousands of hours came into my experience, and it developed my mind. So I was very good at doing things fast and good on the engineering side. Apple sprung from an engineering start, but quickly changed into a company that respected that marketing was more important and business was more important. Those weren't necessarily my things, but I don't step on people's toes. One thing is, a lot of people get taught, oh, you can write a business plan, you came out of business school, you can raise some money from venture capitalists or angels like we did, and then after you're done, you can go find the engineers. I say no. Please find the really great engineers who can think of better ideas than other people for whatever product category you're thinking. Engineers have been solving problems their whole life. Find the ones who are makers. It's important to be a maker. People who've actually put together little pieces, maybe it's small little Arduino processors or whatever, but they've made things that turn out to be a complete demonstration. At the very least, if you're going to start a company ever as an entrepreneur, you think you have a good idea that's really worth it, you make sure you get developed a working prototype, even if it's virtual, just on a computer screen, where somebody you're trying to pitch can actually touch buttons and operate it and make it work the way it's supposed to. That's important. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to give you my own personal advice that I have not read anywhere, but I'm sure it's just common. When you start a little small company, a startup, which a lot of young people are thinking of doing when you're in the university, you need at least three key elements. And I look back to our Apple start when we were very young and very small as my example. You need engineering, obviously. You've got to create something really good, and you should find the best you can. Why should they be local and not just an afterthought and we can hire them no matter where they are in the world? Because engineers think up the best ideas for what your product can do more than you would have thought in the initial concept. If you find a really good engineer who's also a maker, but you need marketing. You need to understand what is worth a lot and what's worth only a little, and what will sell, and how do you pitch it, and and that's such an important element. And you need business. You need someone at the top that is just going to only go in the ways that will keep this business alive and thriving. I tell you one thing, it's great to start new things that didn't exist before, because that gives you a chance to be the disruptor. And that's one of the words that's really common these days, but it's really admirable if you can do something so important. You're called a disruptor. I give a lot of talks around the world, obviously not during COVID, and my favorite talks of all are to engineering groups in universities, because I think of how I was then and where their minds are and the greatest intellectual and physical energy of your life, and a lot of freedom to think your own way and think out your own thoughts. You haven't been tied to having to make a product before. Everything you study in a book, think of it this way. Millions of other people have read the same book, studied it the same way. So where's the creative element that makes you a little out of the box, a little different than all the others? That's what you want to be. You want to be better. This is a competitive world, and especially in entrepreneurship. One thing is, a lot of people talk, entrepreneurship can be very hard and difficult and struggling, and you don't know if you're going to get there. It's risky. To me, the best entrepreneurship is when you're doing something you're meant to do, and you feel it in your heart, and you have the passion that every minute of what most people call work to you is love and play. Okay, well, I'm glad to be able to talk to you today, and wish you the best in the future. Have a good one, and bye to Professor Hamilton too.